welcome to issue 8 of Heroes and Villains Spinner Rack Reviews. We're taking a look at 3 books this week. We've got Totally Awesome Hulk and Banner Hulk teaming up in The Strongest Generations, or Generations the Strongest, number 1.
Okay. And we also have Justice League number 26, and we did Justice League 25 last couple weeks ago, but this is a new storyline, so we wanted to jump in on that one.
Yep. We're doing Robotech number 1.
All right. And I guess we'll start with the
Generations.
Generations.
Yeah, Strongest, I think is what it's called.
Yep.
The way I understand it, they're going to be, there's all these generation titles, and there's Strongest, there's the ad for the Archers, which has the Hawkeyes in it. So I guess they're going to have Generations X, whatever that's going to be.
This is the first that's come out in a series of books by Marvel that's going to take updated characters paired with their old counterparts.
Mm-hmm.
So in this issue, for example, you've got Amadeus Cho, Totally Awesome Hulk, pairing with the Incredible Hulk, Bruce Banner. So...
All right. Well, in this book, you start off, Bruce is kind of fighting the same people he's always fighting, the military and stuff, and Amadeus Cho kind of crash lands on the scene. He's really confused, has no idea how or why he's appeared in what seems to be the past. He talks to Bruce Banner a lot throughout the book about how he needs to learn to control his anger, and once he figures that out, he'll be as superior a Hulk as Amadeus is. Amadeus kind of feels like he has this whole Hulk thing down, and they're trying to save civilians from, being casualties in the constant battle between the Hulk and the military. But throughout this book, Amadeus Cho has to come to the realization that Bruce Banner brings to light is that you never truly control the Hulk. You aren't... being the Hulk isn't a gift. It's not something people want. You aren't this chosen one to possess the power. You are basically a prison guard for this warden that is the Hulk. And I thought that was a very interesting concept, because throughout most of the books I've read with Amadeus Cho as the Hulk, he's been very, I got this, I can control this, I'm the smartest Hulk there ever was, and because of that, he feels superior to Bruce Banner Hulk. And not that he gets a big head from it, but he does feel that he is better. And in this book, these books to me appear to be a passing of the torch kind of thing, where the predecessor is being like, look, I know you think you got this figured out, but there are some things you don't know. And they bring light to situations that the new Hulk, in this case Amadeus Cho, never thought about. And I think it's going to bring new light into the series after this book. It's going to have some sort of effect on him. At least that's my hope. I don't want this to be a one-shot mini-series where these characters get all this development and I can't think of the word I'm looking for. They get all this development and insight, and then it just goes back to regular Totally Awesome Hulk. Oh, I'm the smartest Hulk there ever was, but not as strong.
Unfortunately, it's very liable to do that, because Greg Pak is the writer, and obviously Greg Pak has got some experience writing Banner Hulk, and so he's got Cho teaming up with Banner Hulk, and through the book, you think Cho's going to learn a lesson, and I too, I hope it carries over to the other books. One of the things that and I like the book. I thought it was really good. It was my favorite of the ones we read this week. But one of the things it suffered from as I went through it is I was trying to figure out what year did Cho warp back to. And it never specifically said that. So then, when you look around at the background, and like there's a tank battle, and you're trying to figure out, by the era of the tanks, what era of the Hulk they were in, you don't figure it out. Right. And I think that in itself, because when the Hulk first appeared, it was a Cold War
60s
era. You know, that's when he appeared, and so. But now, you know, it's 2017. Banner, you know, he couldn't have existed back in, you know, he couldn't have been a grown man in 1962 or 63 when the Hulk first appeared, and then still be, you know, a relatively young Banner, like he was up until a few, you know, like, you know, he's dead now.
Right.
But
spoiler, as of Civil War, Banner is dead.
Yeah.
So, and that they reference that in the book. You know,
right.
Well,
Cho goes,
where am I at?
You know, should I tell him? You know, Cho's going over that point at some point during the book.
Like the most you get as to what part of Banner's life you're in is that he references not talking to his friends or family because he's tried multiple times and he's on the run again.
They bring up Betty, they bring up Rick, but another curious point that even if you can't identify what year it is, I was trying to identify what Hulk it was. But Hulk, other than saying Hulk smash like he normally does, he's speaking in complete sentences.
Yeah.
Right.
And so then you really can't figure it out because you're like, okay, you know, because Hulk for a long extended period of time was, you know, not very smart Hulk,
right.
Dumb Hulk. Mm-hmm. You know, strongest there was, but not very bright. And he was speaking in complete sentences and was very coherent and, you know,
had some some insight into the Hulk.
Right.
I mean, it's the Hulk talking, but
Hulk,
he has insight. He's giving insight to Cho about being the Hulk as the Hulk. So,
right.
I mean, and there was some things that Banner said to Cho as well. You know, one of my favorite parts was when he's like, you know, sometimes when you're a Hulk, the Hulk sits in the back seat and just rides. Other times he reaches up and he grabs the wheel and you got no control over it.
Right.
So that was, to me, that I really liked that. That was probably one of my favorite little things that he said in the book.
You ever wonder when he hulks out if he ever gets hungry and he has to eat, and then he transforms into Banner and he eats a Hulk-sized meal, and then he transforms back into Banner. What happens to all that?
Never thought about that.
Think about that.
Okay.
So, but at the end of the book, once Amadeus receives the information that I feel or that the story feels is pertinent to what he needs to mature and grow as the Hulk, he gets transported back to whatever time period he was in, because he just kind of vanishes at the end. So, I mean, that's a general synopsis of the book, some of our thoughts and feelings on it. The end of the book gives you a preview that they're going back to the old numbering of Hulk, so the next Hulk will be 706, I think is what it said.
709.
Or 9.
And there's a tease, 709, I think. There's a tease back to Planet Hulk.
Yeah, Back to Planet Hulk, Incredible Hulk, issue 709, which, as of right now, you have 2 Hulk books. You have Totally Awesome Hulk with Amadeus Cho, and you have just Hulk, which is Jennifer Walters' She-Hulk.
Right.
So I don't know if they're going to keep up with 3 Hulk books now, or if they're going to maybe dial back. But anyway, it's called Incredible Hulk. So we're going back to the original title and numbering system, it seems like.
All right. Well, let's rate this book.
Okay. I really enjoyed the book. The art was okay. The storyline was pretty good. I liked the insight that Amadeus Cho was getting for his character and the potential for this miniseries to affect and mold the rest of the new Marvel superheroes. I'm gonna give it a high Silver Age. The art is what really took away from it for me. So, yeah.
Yep. I think I'm on that border between gold and silver too. Mm-hmm. The story was top notch. We've seen some really great artists on Hulk, and so if you're used to reading Hulk books, Mike likes Dale Known. There's other people, but if you
Gary Frank,
if you read a lot of Hulk, you'll probably be a little bit disappointed with the art, but it's not horrible. Some of the things are indeterminable, like there's the tanks. None of them look the same, and none of them. I mean, we talked about that, but
some of them look positively German.
Yeah.
And I don't mean, German, late war German. I mean early war German.
Sure. But yeah, so I'd go high silver, low gold.
I concur. I think it's a high silver, almost a gold, and for the same exact reasons. The art. When I cracked open the book, there is a splash page on the book, and there's an image of the Hulks by Dale Keown, who was a Hulk writer or Hulk artist in the 90s, who went on to Image to do Pit. And I was like, please have some more art in this book by Dale Keown. He did do a variant cover for the book, but it was an incentive variant cover, and you had to order, I think, like 50 to 100 copies to get one of those books. The art is what, kept it for me from being a golden age. It's a solid book. It carries a price tag of $4.99. It's definitely worth your look.
Yep. Yeah, the next book we're going to be reviewing is Justice League 26. It's the first issue of a new storyline called Legacy. And the story kind of starts off, if you're unfamiliar with it, if you haven't seen any of the preview images or whatever, it starts off in the future, I think 20 years in the future, and you are essentially, you find out of the first couple pages that you're dealing with the children of the Justice League.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
You've got what looks like the leader is Hunter. He's obviously at least Wonder Woman's son.
He's got Superman's cape though too.
Probably, yeah. He's got Wonder Woman's lasso, her logo, but it looks like he's got the remnants of Superman's cape. You got
There's her tiara as an armband.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's
actually, I think he's wearing the bracelets.
Yep.
Oh, nice.
But looks like you got some spawn of Cyborg. You've got the Green Lantern twins, a child of Flash, and Aquaman's daughter. So, you're and like most futures in comic books, they're all dystopian and they're all horrible. There's no good. I've almost yet to see a future in any comic book where something happens and it's a good future.
Yeah, I don't think there would be any conflict there if somebody came back from the future and was like, "Hey, everything's peachy.
Hey, don't do anything. Don't do anything because we're good up here.
We're all good,
But so they're trying to storm, I think, Mount Olympus, right?
Yes.
So they're cruising, and the first roadblock is they keep talking about Sovereign and Curry, and you're like, okay, well, Curry is Arthur Curry is Aquaman in current Justice League time frame, and so you're wondering what's happening. Well, all of a sudden, boom, a boom tube opens up, and Aquaman, or a futuristic cybernetic Aquaman, drops in, and he starts basically beating the snot out of the future Justice League spawn.
And these guys are definitely, I don't think they're on power level with the Justice League, because although Aquaman's not a weak member of the Justice League, he gives them what for. I mean, it's a pitched battle, and it's definitely going against them.
Well, they even talk about, what was cool is he drops in and he lobs this grenade, which is like some kind of stun grenade, and it basically makes
a temporal
grenade. It slows the Flash down, so the Flash even makes a remark, well, this sucks being as slow as you guys.
So it totally, she's totally out of that entire fight, I think.
Right.
Yeah. And he basically thwacks Hunter, who's, obviously should be at least on par with Wonder Woman, so Aquaman's no joke. I mean, if you haven't read Aquaman in the last few years, Aquaman is strength level, he's probably on par with Wonder Woman, he can speak to animals or fish or control fish, I guess. But that's only part of his power. But anyway, Aquaman's no joke. So he drops in, and now he's got cybernetic augmentation. I guess they make
Cyborg.
They make a remark that he's combined parts of Cyborg with
kept alive by Cyborg's parts.
So and he's got a Black Lantern ring.
Which may be a part of why he's alive.
Right. So there's a lot going on there, and I'll get into it in a minute, but the book is busy. There's a lot going on, and it's really fast paced, but you're curious because you don't know what's going on, so you're going along with them. And when they finally get into Mount Olympus, you don't really know what they get. Some kind of distress call from one of their mentors, and you get the idea that they used to live there and were schooled there, because they talk about playing there as kids. So obviously at one point it wasn't so bad, and they lived in Mount Olympus, and they were trained there, and they had a mentor named Vincent, and Vincent sends them this distress call, or some kind of message, and so they go, and Vincent's been dead a long time, so the the message is automated, and he pops up. And about that time, there's this being, we don't know who it is, but their name is Sovereign, and it's a female in some sort of armor, and basically she just starts wailing on them, and the only way for them to escape is to open this. They set up some sort of time travel device, and they basically pop into current Justice League timeline and at the feet of the current Justice League.
Yep.
And that's kind of how the book ends. I mean,
although there is a conversation, like Wonder Woman and Superman
yes.
are having this, like,
that's true.
Like, it's like Wonder Woman's having like an existential crisis. She's like, "Can we do more?" There's some sort of massacre at Midway City, and there's all these people dead. And Wonder Woman's like, "Should we use our powers to exert control?" And I'm sitting there as a reader going, "Holy cow!" Wonder Woman's talking about like taking a greater
authoritarian
a greater hand. Like if
over,
anybody remembers the Justice League cartoon, the Justice Lords, that was what was going through my mind when I was reading that sequence. And then a boom, the time thing opens up, and the kids drop in, and they basically say, "Stop what you're doing. This is all your fault."
So maybe because Wonder Woman, like Mike says, Wonder Woman is, she's like, "Hey, we saved the Earth from aliens and whatnot," and then we save the same people that are basically, when we turn our backs, are doing the bad things. So should we not stop them from doing that and clean up the Earth as well as protect it? And Superman's being Superman, and the Boy Scout, and he's saying, "Hey,
we lead by example."
We lead by example, which Mike kind of tagged on this. You see several different alternate Elseworlds books where you got cartoon Gods and Monsters, where Superman, the Trinity, takes a more active role in leading the Earth. The Authority comic book originally by Image, I think, did that too. They basically would
Warren
would pop into the present and say, "This is what you're going to do."
No, Warren Ellis and Brian Hitch.
Yes.
My bad.
But so you see that, and and that's one thing I've always thought was interesting about the Justice League. They're powerful beings that could rule the world, but they've always taken a step back. And maybe that's where that's going, is that they, at some point, maybe Wonder Woman kind of pushes the rest of the Justice League to say, "Hey, we need a more active role in leading the Earth," and that leads to a degenerate future. So, but the book is really good. I like where it's going. I'm a big fan of Elseworlds tales and what if tales and whatnot, alternate reality things. So for me, I was like, we got to read this book. I was the big push for that. Even though we just read a Justice League book, the anniversary issue, this doesn't. I guess it doesn't really have anything to do with 25. So,
not really.
Yeah. This cover looks really good too. It's really good.
You don't have to have read 25.
Vintage looking cover.
That was another thing. Is this is by Paquette. So.
I kind of liked how it was thematic, and almost it kind of matches up with the first book we reviewed, The Totally Awesome Hulk, because it's dealing with legacy characters, and I thought that was kind of cool. And it almost, as we progress to our next book, Robotech, it is sort of a legacy theme this week, which wasn't intentional. It just sort of happened that way. But it is a very legacy book, because you're looking at these characters, and I've never seen any of them before. I presume this is the first time any of them have appeared.
Yeah. The crystal they used to time travel gets referenced in the book. I think issues 16 or so.
Yeah, Justice League 16 through 19. They're talking about. Yeah, it shoots you back to Justice League 16 through 19. So if you're a Justice League reader, you may have a little bit more insight into the technology they're using to time travel. Right. But
I don't think you necessarily need it to understand what's going on.
No, it's definitely a great. I mean, because I haven't read those issues. I picked it up, and I'm not lost at all. It's like, okay, I mean, I'm hopeful that some of the stuff that's new to me is going to be explained. But Don said earlier, is a busy book. There's a lot going on in this book, and presumably they're going to explain it as the storyline progresses.
I would expect so.
They presumably have 6 issues or more to explain it. So we'll see where they go from here. But what did you think of the book?
I'm excited about it. Like I said, I love Elseworlds. I like the idea of seeing future generations of supers. Even though it was busy, I felt like it was busy. There's a lot to get started. I gave it a gold. I was enjoyed. I like the fight scenes. I like seeing everybody do their thing, and then I like seeing Wonder Woman maybe have that crisis where it shows you that what leads to the dystopian future. So I gave it a gold.
Yeah. I really enjoyed the book. I enjoyed the story. I like anything that has anything to do with Aquaman and Mira on the most part. So getting to see them have a kid, and
Even as a bad guy.
Well, it only helps solidify my theory as to who Sovereign is.
Okay.
So I'm really hoping that it's who I think it is, and it's not
Batman?
Yeah,
Female Batman?
Female Batman. So
Batman
Batwoman or
could be
girl?
the villain in every alternate timeline if you think about it.
But I love getting to see the next generation of superheroes, just because I feel like they keep redoing the same guys. Which, I mean, everybody loves the classic heroes, but
Sure.
sometimes it's nice to see it progress and go somewhere. So I'm giving it a golden age. The art was good. The story was good.
Okay, well, I'm holding out. I don't think it deserves a golden. I do think the story was good. I'm going to give it a silver. It's a high silver. The art's really good, but it, a little bit cumbersome. Maybe that'll change as the story progresses, but I'm stuck on a silver, so that's what I give it.
I think they're trying to get as much obviously we all know you don't get as much bang for your buck anymore.
It's only $2.99 too.
Right. So I think they were trying to pack as much information as they could. I mean, and it is enough to get you. Okay, well, let me read the next issue. You do want to read the next issue. I'm a binge reader, so one of those things that this is probably one that I would be like, okay, I got to get this every month so I know what's going on.
Right.
But instead of waiting until the end, I'm going to pick this book
I'm
up.
sorry, I just saw something that needs to be. There's a house ad in here with Hal Jordan and Colonel Sanders. There's a book.
Oh, there's a book.
Green Lantern and Colonel Sanders.
And it's the cover is like the old
Green Lantern 76. Wow. Green Arrow, Green Lantern 76.
Yeah, team up.
All right. Got a little bonus in there.
This book poses a lot of questions that I hope they get answered.
And a lot of times with some miniseries and alternate realities, they leave a lot to,
Like how a Green Lantern kid could have red and yellow lantern rings instead of green.
Well,
maybe he inherited them a different way. Who knows?
Yeah.
All right. That's that one. Now we're going to deal with Robotech #1 from Titan Comics. Carries a $3.99 tag, and it is it's thicker than the Justice League. I'll just dive right in. Robotech was one of the first Japanese animation cartoons that I remember seeing. When I was growing up, we didn't have cable, and we had a satellite dish, and so I would set our VCR way back when to record it, and that's how I got Robotech, and I loved it. The book, when you open it up, it's got a great splash page that has entire list of characters and gives you a little background bios on them, and that really helped because I have purposely not watched Robotech. It's been 30 years or more since I've watched Robotech, and one of those reasons is I didn't want it to be spoiled for me. There was also a comic series for Robotech in the 80s published by Comico, which originally did Mage and Grendel way back in the day, and the Robotech series was pretty epic and very valuable at one point, but I checked a few weeks ago as I knew this one was coming out, and values haven't really stayed up there. But this one is the art is really good, top notch. I don't have a problem with any of the art. There was a lot going on in the book, the same as the Justice League, and I think that there's so much going on. If you're not familiar with these characters, even with the bio at the beginning of the book, I think you're going to be lost. If you love Robotech, you're going to like this book. That's all there is to it. They update it. At one point, Rick Hunter's talking about he's there to meet
his brother,
Roy Fokker, and and I hardly know her. And he says, "Well, you won't return my phone calls or emails." And I think that was kind of cool how they updated an old standard with modern technology. What did you guys think of it?
I thought it was a pretty good book. I've never really watched Robotech. I mean, I've heard the name and seen the little ship things, but that's about as far as I've gotten with that show. The characters seem pretty interesting. Fokker's relationship with his brother is something that I'd like to see why it's so tense and whatnot. And the girl at the end of the book that Rick is trying to rescue, but she's like all indignant, like, you're destroying my home, what's up, bro?
Yeah.
And I like seeing that. So the story seems interesting. It's a little bit to get into if you don't know any of the background of it, but it's not so much so that you can't kind of keep up with what's going on.
Yeah, the jump, you initially see the spaceship crash, and the military jumps on scene, which one of them is Fokker, and there's the whole bit, hey, this is going to make us rich.
Yeah, it's the commander,
not only rich, but basically you're going to be able to tell people what you want to do. And you see later that he has achieved some rank, and he's the leader of the Veritech Squadron, which is the hybrid, alien human spaceship transformer things,
right.
Whatever mechs, yeah. So you see that, and then it flash forwards 10 years later, and Roy is a lieutenant commander. He's the leader, and everybody is doing their own thing. And they've taken the technology and they've retrofitted it for their own uses.
Yeah.
And you see, and they've obviously prepared for some sort of alien invasion, because it's almost like instantaneously, as soon as they got these radars that detect for stuff coming in, and they go, hey, we got incoming, da 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 da, and they instantly know what to do. So you don't get the indication that this is almost like for me, this was like a reboot of Robotech. It's not like the original. Like,
it's as if they got the property for the first time.
Right. So it's not a sequel. It's not a sequel. At least I didn't feel that way.
Me either.
It more felt like it's a reboot. Hey, we're going to take the story and we're going to redo it. So for people that don't be dissuaded by, oh well, I never was into Robotech, I never read it. If you like,
Yeah, I don't think you need to have read the Maycross saga or any other books. The last one that I read, comic-wise, is the Maycross saga, and I think it only went 30, maybe 40 issues, maybe even less than that. I don't think the book made it out of the early 90s. They're by Comico, obviously, because Comico stopped publishing around that time. But any other Robotechs that have popped up, I haven't read them, so
right.
I don't know.
And I've never read any Robotech books. I watched the cartoon that was up there with Star Blazers when I was a kid.
Yeah.
That was like the only real anime type shows that were on TV then. Mm-hmm. So I'm familiar with what they do, but like I said, I've never really watched any of the. I watched a couple of the series episodes, but
they support it with tons of variant covers. This is the most prevalent one we got, right?
Right. We actually had 3 covers.
But there's
one of Rick, one of, I think that's probably supposed to be
the cover C is
that one.
Is the action figure cover. You probably can't see it, but it looks like it's a blister pack of Robotech action figures, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So what I thought of the book, I liked it. I'm going to give it a high silver. Because of its clunkiness, the same thing as the Justice League, and it was just so much packed in there. I can't really give it a gold, but I would recommend it to anybody that is a fan of old Robotech.
Yeah.
Anybody that wants a good jumping on point for a comic book, I think this is a good place to start. Carries a $3.99 cover. It is pretty thick. I think it's worth a $3.99 price tag.
Sure. I'll give it a silver as well. I liked it. I thought it was a good jumping on point. It is busy, but I think that's kind of like the Justice League. They got a ton of information they're trying to cram at you and get you latched on, so I can forgive that. So
I'm also going to give it a silver. The story is interesting, the art's really nice, but it's not really my cup of tea as far as books I would read. It's not something I would typically pick up. Yeah. But the story's really good. It's a great jumping on point. Having never watched Robotech or read any of the books, I still feel like I pretty much know what's going on in the book, so that should be some reassuring. Blah, blah, blah. It should be reassuring for new readers who are like, well, Robotech seems interesting, even though I know it's been around for a while. So I also am going to give it a silver.
Okay.
All right. Well, that's our episode for this week. If you can't get into our store, find a local comic book store and support them. There's tons of other books out there that deserve your attention, and keep reading comics. Thanks a lot. Last week, someone had a comment, and they asked, why don't we do a
Q&A
session, and we're really intrigued by that idea. If you have any more ideas like that, please send us an email at askspinnerrackreviews, and we'll answer your questions and maybe set up that episode, and we'll see what we can do.
At gmail.com.
Yep.
We'll put it in the description below.
Yeah, ignore what I'm saying because I'm really sleepy.
Have a good one.
Bye.